Hi guys, my name is Maria Park, and welcome to the Approach the Nerd review on Kung Fu Season 1, Episode 4, entitled Hand. And the more I watch this series, the more involved I am in this story because it is getting really, really good. But I think what I'm finding interesting is I'm more involved with the side characters and invested in the characters, like their stories, than I am with Nikki's story, and she's the main character. So I don't know what that says about me, but this was for me a very Althea, Henry, and Ryan themed episode. Very much Althea. I think I'm going to start with her because if you remember, she's been getting these mysterious phone calls, and then we realized in the episode last week that she had we assumed she had been in some way sexually harassed or assaulted by her boss. And then she meets a reporter, and the reporter wants her to come out, and she's scared and she doesn't want to do it because she hasn't told anybody. And she doesn't want it to impact her life. And that comes more into play in this episode. The reporter sends her a text telling her that she found another victim, basically, and that she's willing to go on the record, which for Althea made her feel relieved because the story will come out and then she won't be tied to it, which I was thinking that actually doesn't make any sense because if he ends up going to trial, they're going to want more witnesses. So she's going to be approached again and it's going to have to come out eventually. So it's going to come out. I mean, obviously. But Althea, I get it. She's scared. She doesn't feel like she has the courage. Even how she refers to it as a mistake. He made a mistake in the episode where she finally tells Nikki. That to me was insane. The girl just went through it in this episode. She also had another marital planned event with her fiance's family, our parents. So basically the Sung family is going to the Shen's restaurant to have dinner and basically appraise her. It's really crazy. It's basically showing her worth. And in the episode, her fiance's mother gave her a very expensive necklace. It looked like it was all diamonds. I don't know. I didn't pay too much attention to it, but very, very expensive. And she wore it to the dinner. And they probably weren't there 5 minutes sitting down getting ready to eat before her future father-in-law says, I want us to be transparent. And so he asked her to sign a prenup. And, right before that, she literally it's either right before or during, she gets a text message from the reporter that the girl that was going to go on record chickened out, basically, which I hate to say chickened out. She is pretty much in the same boat as Althea. She got scared, which I get. And so that already put Althea in a mood. And then you have your future in-laws basically saying that they want you to sign a prenup because you don't have any worth, basically. And what I loved about that scene was how her future mother-in-law was like, my mother's necklace looks lovely on you. And she's like, oh, is that why you gave it to me? So, I look like I'm worth more with it on. And she's like, what is my legs worth? What am my brain, what's my brain worth? She said, why am I negotiating? The object never has a say in her worth. I was like, oh my gosh, she went off. And I was like, so I have to say this. I love the parents' reaction to that because to me, it always feels like they're just always fighting over Nikki. The mother's upset that Nikki stayed away for 3 years, and the father's just, pretty much she's the father's golden child. So it kind of made it feel like Althea wasn't really on the board, even though she's the oldest. But I love how they were so proud of her for standing up, even though they said we taught her not to be disrespectful to her elders. But they were like, yeah, but I'm glad she didn't listen, basically. I would like to say, basically, that in the episode, the parents confused me because in the last episode, they were fighting over the fridge. Well, really, the father kind of vented to her, I don't understand you. I love you, but I don't understand you. And it just seemed like, she started crying. It seemed like they had this rift between them. And then this week, it didn't seem like anything was wrong with them at all. So I don't know if I have one nitpick. I have two nitpicks actually about this episode, but that's probably the first one that I have is that the parents' relationship is kind of all over the place. We know there are issues, but how they're portraying it, it almost seems like continuity wise, it's just very, very weird. Hi, Jam. Love you. So she has a decision to make. And I know that she's going to be the one that ends up going on the record. I mean, you already know it. You already know this is what's going to happen. They wouldn't have to introduce the story if they weren't going to carry it out. But they have to go through like every angle of somebody who actually has been sexually assaulted. And she does tell, Nikki, at first it started with comments, then, basically he touched her. And then, I guess she accepted whiskey, probably roofied her and then raped her. And I mean, that was hard. That was really hard to listen to. But yeah, so now we get to learn a little bit more about Henry because of Evan. Evan is creating this love triangle, which still doesn't make sense because he has a girlfriend. But again, Nikki broke up with him over a text message. So we know he actually hasn't gotten over her in any scope of anyone's imagination. And so, they're trying to figure out where the key it's basically what this key goes to. And they find it goes to this box, and it just happens to belong to some, guy who collects all of these artifacts that actually have been stolen. They need to go back to their native countries and their cultures and whatever. And Henry is very pro that, but they decide to go and break into this guy's place. And of course, Henry, he blows, I think it's talcum powder. He blows something on the keypad and he figures out what numbers were pushed. They just have to figure out the sequence. And they figured out, I think it was either his birth year or the year he graduated, I think. And they're able to get in. And then he finds another piece of art that he sees like above this mantle. And he's like, well, this was stolen years ago too. And it should go back to his country. I already knew he was going to take it. I already knew he was going to take it. But, Nikki's kind of like, we need to find the box. Well, they find the box, but then they get attacked by somebody who's coming to collect the box. And remember, I'm calling Jalon at this point, I'm calling her Lady Z because that's just what I do. It's a lot easier. So she hired this guy basically to steal the box so she can buy it from him. And he's like a collector that does that. So this guy basically, I'm gonna be real with you, he beats Henry and her butt. And I don't know, I guess my problem with Kung Fu, my other nitpick, because I love the show, is the fight scenes. Whenever I see Black Lightning and I look at Painkiller or Khalil fight, I'm like, this is what I want to see in Kung Fu. And granted, Nikki does come back and she's able to fight, and she even challenges this guy. They find out where he is, he's going to shoot them. She challenges him basically to a fight duel, and he's beating her butt, but eventually, she's able to overcome him. But I really feel like Nikki's potential as a fighter, being at the entire series is called Kung Fu, should be a lot higher level than what it is in these fight scenes. Now, I don't take this out on Olivia Lang, who plays Nikki. I don't take it out on the character itself. This is actually a directorial and choreography thing. I don't know if they're doing this intentionally to make her more powerful later on, but she does seem to, like, her fights seem to be a little lackluster. Like, last week wasn't as bad when the assassin was trying to kill her in the room, the fashion room or the factory room, whatever, during the party. But this week, I don't know. I just felt like that guy was beating the hell out of her. And all of a sudden she gets like one punch in and then she like wins the fight. And I'm like, I feel like they could have done a lot more with that. So I don't know. That's just me. But they do end up getting the box open with the key in this episode, and we find the scabbard. And if you remember, the scabbard was what the professor was talking about, was another part of the sword that Lady Z has that she didn't even realize existed. And so she gets the box, but it's empty because Nikki had made a deal with this guy. If I beat your butt, I can have whatever in this box. And it turns out to be the scabbard. So Nikki finally got something before Lady Z, which means Lady Z is coming after her, and that's going to be a thing. So yeah, I think that's going to be not next week, but it's coming because we all know Lady Z is obsessed. So we had that. And like I said, this has been a thing now. Back to Henry. Henry has revealed to be, he came from a poor background. I think he said he was raised by his grandmother, but he ended up stealing. He got into the rift, probably with the wrong crowd, whatever. He ended up stealing because they didn't have a lot. And he went to juvie, and then he picked up a book on Chinese history, and then he was hooked and he got out of that life. But he had a guy that he would go to named Randall, which is kind of like, a fence, he basically takes artifacts that you give to him, for information or for favors or whatever, and then he actually takes it back to its original point of origin, our country. So all of these artifacts that were stolen, he basically repatriates back to where they came from. So I think that's pretty cool. Even though it's shady and probably on the down low, he's probably completely black market. I do think that what he's doing is cool, because these, like Henry even said, these artifacts are stolen and they're, they have historical value to these different cultures and countries, and they're just sitting on somebody's shelf in somebody's house, which is true today. I'm sure that's happening all over the country. A lot of white and rich people. I like to say white because there's a lot of rich people in general, but the stereotype is always a lot of very powerful, white men who go out and collect things and just put them on mantles. And it's like, you don't know what value this has to anyone, and you just want it because it looks good in your trophy room. So yeah. So I like that they threw that in there. So I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, but Henry does come clean to Nikki. But I thought it was so interesting that Evan literally ratted him out. Like, he was like, you need to be careful around him. Evan doesn't care that this guy was in juvie. He doesn't care that he was a thief. He cares that he's with Nikki. And I'm like, you are creating the CW love triangle, which we knew was going to happen. We knew it was going to be Nikki in between the old boyfriend and potential new boyfriend. And she ended up kissing him in the end anyway, after he came clean about stuff. And he was like, you could have just asked me, which is true. You could have just said, hey, you could have asked me. So yeah, Evan and Evan was not happy because she got mad at Evan for basically running a background check on this guy. And it's obvious he was jealous. He wasn't doing that to protect her. He was doing that because he was jealous. He was sizing him up, and he was looking for a weakness, and he got one. And I'm like, Evan, come on, man. She dumped you in a text message. Let it go. Be like, Elsa, let it go. So it is what it is. And then the other thing that I thought was really cute about this episode was my boy Ryan. My boy Ryan he's dating Joe Harper. The cute activist boy that we had in the last one. I say boy because I'm probably older than him, but he is adorable. And they go out, and Ryan's so much into his work. He's always on his cell phone. He's not really in a relationship. He's just there. And like Joe calls him out on it, and he's like, you're ignoring me, And so Ryan's like, I'm basically a gaby. I've been gay. I've had one night stands, but I've never been in a relationship. And Joe's like, yeah, I kind of knew that. I'm like, that whole scene was cute. I love this scene with them. I am shipping Ryan and Joe. I don't know what their name is. Is it Giant? Is it Ro? I don't know what we're calling them, but they are adorable. And like I said, I am so involved in the side characters' lives more than I am in Nikki's quest to get Lady Z and figure out the weapon situation, the mysterious magical weapons that give you all, powers or whatever. I'm more invested in Ryan and Althea, heck, even Joe, even Henry, than I am in Nikki's story, like her journey. And I still, at the end of this episode, I just had so many, there's so many unresolved questions about the parents, because I feel like where they left off in the last episode, they should have an iceberg between them right now. The mother was literally crying over a fridge saying he's like, it's just a thing. And it's not just a thing. We don't know the story behind that. The father's like, I love you, but I don't understand you. And they kind of went their separate way. And now they act like none of that happened. And I'm like, I understand if you're thinking about this from the point of, in some cultures, even my mother was British, it's all about appearances. So they don't really, if there's a falling out or whatever, you never know that there's something going on in the family. You'll never see that. You never see it public outside of their relationship or their family. They won't ever talk about it. It's just not a thing. But I mean, with each other alone, like that whole moment when they were talking about how proud they were, Althea, for basically being outspoken, I would have thought they still would have had some kind of tension between them over the previous episode, over the father saying, why are you so hard on Nikki, but yet you pay all this money for the fridge, and the mother saying, no, it's not just a thing, It's weird. It's just really weird to me. I don't know why And I don't know if this is a continuity thing. I don't know if we're just supposed to understand that this is how their family, operates. They're dysfunctional, so they snap a little bit, but then they put their walls back up, and then they just act like everything's great, which is possible because again, that does happen in a lot of different families culturally. So, but yeah, I just thought that was really strange. So, yeah, but yeah, so everything I got out of this is that Lady Z is PO'd because she did not get the scabbard. So they got the scabbard. Nikki gets +1, 0.1 for Nikki, even though every other point has been going to Lady Z. And the sisters having that conversation is showing how Althea is opening up more to her sister now. Because, again, Nikki's been gone for 3 years. She's having to relearn her siblings. And that is always a challenge because Nikki wanted to come home and just jump right back into their lives. And they are completely different people. A lot happens in 3 years, which she should understand because she's different. But I love that the sisters are bonding and that Althea felt comfortable enough to tell Nikki about her being sexually assaulted. So I thought that was cool. I don't know what's going to happen if Ryan finds out because I always feel like Nikki's like, tell me that F. That would have been my response. What's that mother effer's name? What's his name? Like, he won't be hurting people. You can't rape someone if you don't have a dick. I'm just saying. Say, I can take care of it for you. Oh, sound. But I'm wondering what's going to happen when Ryan finds out. So that's going to be a thing. But I think that the progression of her story, the road she has ahead is long, and Althea is probably going to be pushed out of her comfort zone and have a lot of breakdowns because she's the oldest. She basically has a kind of social status that she tries to cling to, an appearance she tries to cling to. Her fiance doesn't know. Nobody knew that this happened within the past 3 years. I don't even know how old this is. Like, they may have said it. I don't know if it was like 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. But yeah. And I don't think she's still come to terms with it completely because of the fact that she literally said her boss made a mistake is what really worries me. Like, she was like, well, I mean, he made a mistake. I'm like, no, baby, he raped you. That's not a mistake. That was intentional. So I have a lot of problems with that. So, but yeah, it was a good episode. I guess the parents interacting with each other. And of course, the fight scenes. I just want the choreography to be on the level of Painkiller. That's what I want. I mean, if I could have anything change right now, it's just that her stuff is as badass as, it doesn't even have to be Painkiller, as Khalil. So I need it to be on that same level. And I get it. He knows like a million different martial arts styles because the SA and Odell made sure he was programmed to be one of the most lethal people on the planet. I get it. But this girl's supposed to be like literally studying a form of kung fu that, and in my opinion, they're making it seem like she's the descendant of the original holder of this sword. That's what it seems to me, which is why the map thing is on her hand and why she touched the scabbard, this white stuff came out. It's just really weird how it reacted to it. So she doesn't seem to be just a normal run of the mill, former, student of her Sifu. It seems like she actually has a connection to this entire legacy. So yeah, I just need it to be a little bit better. But that's my recap. So let's get to some questions. And I'm sorry if I'm doing this. My sinuses are still killing me. My eye, it looks like I'm crying. I'm not. My sinuses are. So let's see here. They also said that Zilan was able to wield the sword barehanded because she's powerful, and we see Nikki talking to her Sifu's ghost. So there is kung fu wizardry in play. Exactly. I keep saying it doesn't make sense. She's having coherent conversations. It's not even herself talking back, because normally when we see those types of scenes, the person's like, I'm not really here. I'm just your subconscious, and then this is the form it's taking. But no, she's literally talking to her like they're having class. Like, it's crazy to me. Lady Z is 2, Nikki 1. Technically, isn't Lady Z technically 3? Yes, she got 2 weapons, but she also got the professor first. You got to count that. They were trying to get to the professor as well. So that's 3 times she's beat them, which is interesting. Yeah, but the show has not established that she is just meditating and thinking back on the lessons her Shifu taught her and things what she would say to her, or she's actually talking to her. Yeah, they're not really telling us either way, if that's really happening. It's just interesting, because it really looks like they're communicating with each other. I agree. They are saying that these 8 weapons are mystical, but there is not a lot of mystical things happening, like people who have mystical powers. But it's just at the beginning. Well, and right now, to be fair, they keep getting locked up in Lady Z's closet or her little wall compartment. So I mean, like, you can't be mystical if you're locked away. Nikki did pull off at least one supernatural feat since the first episode. I think the show has to do a better job of establishing the magical system to the audience. I absolutely agree with that. Evan was the messenger and he got shot. Yep, you don't do that. They always kill the messenger. I always do. Look, the only way that you aren't killed as the messenger is if you are a video, like video evidence. Shame, Evan. I like the main actress. She was better in Legacies as the cunning dark witch. She should have stayed. I loved Alyssa Chang. Yeah, I love Penelope as well, but I'm gonna be started on that. Khalil was squat on all these people and would squat on those people, and that's not even painkiller. I'm telling you, they need, because the show is called Kung Fu. We need to have more wins and better kung fu choreography. Make this stuff look like a freaking Hong Kong fantasy, film. If you have to watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, you need Michelle Yeoh to come over here and tell you how to do it, then you just need to do it. But yeah, it's just that I love the show. I love the premise of this show, but I kind of feel like, honestly, the fights are lackluster and underwhelming, and it bothers me because I don't feel like the actress herself doesn't have the talent to pull this off. I feel like literally, I feel like Ryan Wilder in Batwoman has better fight choreography than Nikki does. And Nikki's entire theme, her entire purpose is Kung Fu. So that's hard for me. That is hard for me. Let's see. It didn't make sense to be why they could be able to beat the Collector in their second battle when he handed her and Henry butt to them. I know. And she really wasn't winning in the second fight. She just got one hit at the end. And I'm like, they literally knocked him. Nah. That was some Mike Tyson biting ear stuff right there. I don't understand that at all. I feel like the fight scenes are kind of boring when it was more action-packed. I realize she's not a hero that has powers, but the mystical world does exist there, so I just want more. Exactly. I mean, look at, okay, so I will say in Daredevil and the Netflix live-action version are most of the defenders that don't have abilities. Well, I guess technically that would only really be Matt. That he does have heightened senses, but he's also blind. So he has a handicap technically. And yes, I understand his vision works a different way, but he doesn't have meta abilities and he's kicking people's ass more than Nikki is. And then I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Misty was freaking beating people up, before her arm got ripped off, but that's a whole other conversation. I just need them to do more. That's what I need. I need more from this. Kung Fu without Kung Fu. Exactly. I mean, we see the forms, but I don't know. I feel like the fight scenes are not choreographed in Nikki's favor is a good way of putting that. Okay. Make sure. Okay. Althea wasn't going to put up for any of it, and I'm here for it. Yeah, I love that. I love it. She just took that necklace off. No, so she's like, is that why you gave it to me? So I have worth? I'm like, uh-oh. And everybody thinks that Nikki's the one that stands up. I'm like, Althea came out swinging. She came out swinging. I was like, I'm here for it. I have to hand it to the writers. It's very difficult to make side characters that the audience will care about as much as the main character. I agree. And they're doing, honestly, I like Nikki. I don't want her to die. But her adventure is not as interesting to me as her sister and her brother, and heck, even Henry and Joe and all of the others. Right now, Evan's kind of at a standstill because all he really does right now is just sit in his office and call people. I don't know. I think that's what he does now. So I need to have a little bit better, representation in terms of character development for him. But at the same time, what are you really going to do? He's the ex-boyfriend who's the assistant DA. He really has like 2 roles: be jealous and help out on cases. That's literally all he's got. So yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. Althea was a badass. Yep. Um, could you imagine if Thea, if all that had happened to her and then she had been the one that went off? I mean, imagine if that had been Nikki's backstory. She got sexually assaulted by her boss and then went off to China, and that would have been some Arrow stuff right there. She would have to come back and learn not to seek revenge, but to beat at everybody's ass anyway. Like, I would have been down for that. Evan has a whole wife or girlfriend, so why is he butting into all the guys that Nikki is seeing? Because he's Jello, man. He's Jello. She was like, "Dear Evan, I'm out." I'm like, and that's it. And he was like, what? Because I think they were together, what, 2 years, 3 years? It could have been 5 years. I have no idea. I think they were together in college, potentially younger than that. So she was with him a while, and she just out of the blue dumped him in a text message. She didn't even write him a Dear John letter. I mean, come on. He has not accepted this. He is hurt. He feels betrayed, but he can't be the jerk about it. I mean, think about it. The guy was still going to her parents' restaurant to get lunch. Who goes to their ex family's restaurant when there's, you're in San Francisco. I've been to San Fran. I've been to Chinatown, and I love Chinatown. And let me tell you, at every damn corner, there's a Chinese restaurant. You don't have to go there. You can go to any restaurant for lunch, but he goes to her family's restaurant. That's a man that's not over that. He's not over that. Nope. The only problem is that he's in his feelings. He's with another woman who he's probably not even that into. She's probably even a rebound, depending on how long they've been together. And now the object of his desire, love, betrayal, anger, all of that is now back in his life, and now flirting with another guy. What do you think? That's why Evan's doing all this crap. He's Jello. They were together in high school. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. The actress that plays Althea's future mom-in-law, is it Francis? Yep. Is still looking fine after all these years. I've been crushing on her since she started opposite Jet Li and Jackie Chan in the 90s. She looked familiar to me. She looked really... Was she in Black Mask? Like, there's a scene in Black Mask where Jet Li's character is hanging upside down, like on this like chain or whatever, and like they all had the super serum, and she was one of the ones trying to bring him in, but she was still in love with him, and he grabbed her arm, and she's like, "I'll never let you fall" or whatever. I think that is her. That's what came into my head, but I've seen a lot of Jackie Chan and Jet Li movies. I'm a big fan of Jackie Chan as an actor, not really as a person, because I think he has some screwed up views. But I really loved his movies, and I really loved Jet Li, and I really think that was her in that scene. It's just in my head. Should have been a lot younger, but it's in my head. Now that may not be her, but for some reason facially she looked like her. So I don't know. I have to go back and look at that. Yes, Francis just played Kelly Lynn in Black. Look at that. In my 40s and still got a little bit of memory. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Look, now maybe I really am crying. Evan has been with his new girlfriend for, I think, 2 years. Okay. So that tracks. Your girlfriend breaks up with you in a text message. You take a year to grieve over it, and then you move on with another girl as a rebound, but yet you still go to your ex-girlfriend's family's restaurant, because that's healthy. That is absolutely healthy. Off topic, but are you watching Shadow and Bone? I put it in my queue. We're going to start watching it when my spouse gets out of event queues. So what that means is me and my spouse both work for nonprofits during the day, and right now they have their event season through Zoom, and we watch everything together. So I can't watch it without River, so I'm waiting. I know it's killing me, but I can't. And we have one more week, unfortunately, to go, which sucks because right now, Lucifer season 5, part 2 or B, it's coming out on the 28th. And so is Jurassic Park, Camp Cretaceous. And I'm like, they're both coming out at the same time. And I got to watch Shadow and Bone. I don't know how I'm going to do this, guys. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not going to sleep. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to have bags going to go down to here. You're going to see like these huge bags just leaving on every review I have. It's going to be out to here, folded over. It's going to be insane. But I know Shadow and Bone is going to be good because the trailer looks badass. And normally I don't go by trailers, but that one just seemed, even watched the extended trailer, and it just seems really, badass to me. So I am here for it. I just got to wait to see it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm good with Charmed and all this other stuff because River doesn't watch those shows with me. But all the movies and like miniseries, we always watch those together. So that is the hold up. I'm throwing my baby under the bus, but we do that. We watch everything together. So it's a thing. He sprung. Yes, he is. He Jello. Jello. He's green flavored Jello. Whew, I don't know. I it's gonna come to a head because Nikki did that thing you're not supposed to do when Henry was like, "How'd you find out?" Well, Evan told me. So she just literally threw Evan under the bus. Yeah, my ex did a background search on you. I'm like, oh, why'd you do that, Nikki? Oh, guys. So I'm going back to this comment right here. Yeah, but the show has not established if she's just meditating and thinking back on the lessons her Shifu taught her. I'm coming back to that because that makes a lot of sense. The only thing is that for me, if I talk to myself, if I put somebody imaginary in my head, I still need to know information to talk to myself, or at least inform myself about stuff. Not subconscious stuff that I don't remember. I mean, actual information. So like when I'm like, hey, Sifu, you didn't tell me that was your sister. And she's like, oh yeah, we protected the sword, blah, blah, blah. And now she's after it. But no, she's given actual factual information. This isn't like Nikki's like, I wonder why you never told me about the sister. I wonder how I'm going to find these weapons. She's not talking like a fortune cookie, like in The Last Dragon. She's literally giving information. That's why for me it's weird because it feels like they're actually communicating spiritual on like a spiritual plane. So like her Sifu's still there and she's able to go to this plane and talk to her in her mind and seems to be able to do it at will. I don't know. It's weird. And then sometimes she's not even like when she was wiping the table in the last episode, she just appeared. I mean, that it was like, what is happening? So yeah. I have not seen Yusuke yet. I need to. Like I said, guys, I got lots to catch up on. I have lots and lots, and I will. I need a break. Like I need a break. My vacation is literally binge watching stuff. The thing is, when Nikki asked her Sifu about things that happened after Sifu died, that implies that there's some magical stuff going on. That's what's interesting. Like if Sifu never answered the questions and she just did this whole thing like water is brighter when you hold it in your hand or everything dark can become light eventually and blah, 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 blah. Now, I would have been like, okay, that's all in her head. But when she's literally talking and explaining herself and her actions, it's almost like she's defending herself in Nikki's head. That's something else. That is something else entirely. So I don't know what's going on with that. It's very weird. And it just makes me wonder. And I knew that I saw the preview for the next episode, which again, I guess I need to say this. It's interesting that we didn't get a preview for Black Lightning, and we rarely do now. But we got a preview for Kung Fu. It's like they're picking and choosing. And Nancy Drew, I swear to you, I see trailers for the next episode in every freaking episode they do, and it's not even that good. This season for me is horrible and the writing is not that great, so like I don't care about it. And yet here you go with like Black Lightning, and it's just like eventually you'll figure it out. Maybe we'll put a promo online, go to our YouTube channel. That's literally what I feel like is happening. But we did get a preview, and of course it's to do with what's happening in this country right now, which is a lot. This country, the United States of America, is not united in any way, and I mean it's true. And there are some of us who are very lividly angry about all of the crap that has been happening, and the fact that it's not a surprise and it should be, and the fact that history has always been one directional and not accurate, and now all this stuff is coming up. And so in the preview, we already see Asian hate crime. We see them be tagged in San Fran. They're tagged in Chinatown. Do you know how messed up it is to literally be tagged and attacked in a town that is predominantly your people? I mean, yes, we have tourists that come through, but I've been to San Fran. We were there for like 7 days. I lived on Chinatown. I went literally up and down Chinatown, every store, almost every restaurant, except for a few of them. I even went and saw the dragon dancers on the streets. I love it. It's probably one of the biggest Chinatowns I've ever been to. But I mean, think about how messed up it is that you are tagged in Chinatown, and honestly, I can't say it's far-fetched. And that's what's sad about it. And so we are going to get that. And I'm already waiting for people to be like, agenda, even though this shit's really happening. I mean, I live in the South. My spouse is Korean American. My daughter's half Asian. People don't know what the hell I am. And we walk around, and I'm very careful and observant when we have to leave this house for any reason, which we rarely do because I don't trust people with COVID, or in the COVID environment, because they don't wear masks and they've never done anything right here. So, but when we have to go to the pharmacy, if we have to go to the store, I am very, very cautious because there are a lot of crazy ass people out there. So, I believe that this plot is 100% accurate, and people are probably going to whine and cry and say, it's just woke agenda. And I'm just like, whatever, it's happening. I guess people don't really believe things until it happens to them. And that's usually what happens. I work in a nonprofit environment where we deal with kidney disease. And unless you have kidney disease or you know somebody who needs a kidney, it's not something you think about. Why does this affect me? I don't have a kidney disease. I don't need a kidney. That's literally how people think. And it's sad. So, but I get it. Not everyone can save the world. There's too much wrong with it. I'm like, a lot of good things, but a lot of bad. But I do like that this series brings up stuff, but it doesn't do it in a way where it's like, and you need to understand how you failed. I'm like, so I do get that side of the agenda feeding. You don't want to feel like you're personally attacked when somebody's giving you a message that you're unintelligent. But at the same time, you have to be educated enough and aware enough of your environment and basically what's going on in the world to see that this shit's happening every damn day. Just because it's not happening to you doesn't mean it's not out there. So I do like that on the show. So yeah. Okay, let's see. Same writers as Charmed when you root for the side characters more than the main characters. Yep, Abby and Jordan forever. I'm telling you right now, Mel is in my I have an interdimensional, like it's an interdimensional jail cell in space that I just throw Mel in whenever she does, when she does something I like anymore. And she was my favorite damn character. I mean, they took my activist, they took the only LGBT character in the whole damn show before she started bringing in her girlfriends, and they made her stupid. And I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that they made her an idiot. I'm like, Mel, you're grounded. Go into space. She's up there with Sarah right now, in Legends, trapped in an alien jail cell. Only I put her there. So she's not allowed out until she gets her shit together. So there's that. That's how I get rid of the crazy. I love Chinese New Year. Went one time in New York City. Loved Dragon Dance. So cool. Yeah, I've been to Chinatown in New York as well because we stayed on Times Square. And Chinatown is cool, but I mean, San Fran is probably the largest. I mean, even the one in Honolulu was very tiny compared to the one in San Francisco. So this is why I think they always film a lot of the Netflix Chinese dramas. Because if you look at Wu Assassin, it is also in San Francisco. They have a very, very large Chinatown in San Fran. So yeah, I would love to see, like, just because where I live in Memphis, we have an Asian community, but it's not really connected. Like we have a lot of Vietnamese culture on one portion of the street, but I mean, we don't really have a lot of festivals or like I've never seen a lantern dance, a dragon dance or anything in Memphis at all. Like you would have in other places. So, and the Korean culture is very small here, which I guess is fine for my spouse because even though my in-laws are from Korea, River was pretty much raised American and in Minnesota. So it's not like, you're not really missing what you really haven't had a lot of. I mean, yeah, I went to a Korean church and was out around other Koreans, but still felt very much Americanized. So, it's a thing. I'll go back down a sec. I think it just sorry. I love when it scrolls up and down. Okay. I wish it was more like an animated Jackie Chan Adventures, how they did the mystical world building on this show. Yeah. Have Nikki change into a dragon. That would be cool. I'd be down with that. Kung Fu Dragon. Black Lightning has lost its luster to many. It's because they are not. So the story is not bad. What Tobias is doing is effing insane and brilliant. And that man right now is making this damn show extremely interesting because he is effing everyone up like he's playing chess and checking people off a list, and it's working for me. So you're always left with a what's going to happen next. But I can see why, especially where some of the characters are concerned, like the to me, the character assassination of not only Lynn, but of their marriage, like her and Jefferson's marriage, is very, very hard to swallow when it's literally the last season ever. You don't have, I mean, whatever happens now, that's it. You don't come back from this. So how they choose to end this should be on a high note with a very connected family. I hate that one of the most prominent superhero Black families is so effing dysfunctional. It is the most dysfunctional family I've ever seen on the Arrowverse, on the CW and in the Arrowverse. Well, not the CW, there are other dysfunctional families, but in the Arrowverse itself, they are so freaking dysfunctional. Damien Dark is a better father right now to Nora than Jefferson and Lynn are to their kids. And the way their kids talk back to them, grown or not, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be alive right now. So that, to me, I had to suspend my disbelief that a whole ass Black father and a whole ass Black mother let their children talk shit to them without snatching a knot in the, okay, let me stop. I'm like, let me stop. Get demonetized, but let me stop. Woo, God, give me Evangelion Showdown realness. Samurai Showdown. Althea from Love and Hip Hop with Benzino. Althea from, that's interesting. I think Kung Fu should lean in harder on the Kung Fu wizardry and go full. I agree. Wuxia would be awesome. I want them to be flying through the trees, like I will when I start aging. When I start aging and I get my little silver hair and my long beard, I don't know when I'm going to have a beard. And then I'm going to like flick through the trees like I'm crazy. Because why not? Why not? Why not? I'm going to come up with my own Kung Fu style. It's not going to have anything to do with like praying mantis or, lotus or monkey or any of those styles. I don't know. I'm gonna have like BB-8, BB-8 style. Like, that would be very hard to do, but I will master it because I'm gonna be that cool. So Kung Fu needs to take basically a page out of my book of coolness and get on with that. Okay, I think I did read that one. Crazy ain't the word. You're right. Depraved is a better word for it. I agree. Jackie Chan's Adventures is awesome. I used to love that show. I wonder if Lady Z, is what I'm calling her, is going to start creating her own army. She probably already has an army. I mean, how else does she go get the double blades out of the heavily guarded facility in the last episode? She already has an army. And apparently a lot of money. I mostly go to Chinatown for the fruits every summer. Where do you live, Alpha? I need to know what part of, are you in New York? Because that's cool. Kung Fu Dragon that shows already exists. American Dragon Jake Long. I would love if she could, like, if she can't turn into a dragon, she could summon an effing dragon. That would be cool. Taking back to my Black mother and Hispanic father, I would be dead before I said a word. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. Look, I have one Black parent. My mama was white, pale as hell, red hair, born and raised in Scotland. I wouldn't even be dead. I would be uncreated. I would have started that sentence off, and then my body would have started just like, how in the Snap, people started their body started ashing away. I wouldn't even get the full ashing away. You see one little wind. What was that? That was Maria. Gone. Gone. There'd be no approach to her. There'd be a approach to funeral because that's what would have happened. So I don't understand how Lynn and Jefferson let these two girls, like, I'm like, did they spank them? I'm like, maybe they just didn't. Maybe I don't believe in doing that. Maybe Lynn was like, I don't think that children should be spanked psychologically. It damages them. And blah. It's Lynn's fault. I don't think it's Jefferson's fault because it's definitely hers. This is why her children are wild. They're wild. she had mercenaries, but I kind of feel like she's a mercenary in a way too. She's definitely like, she has some clout and she seems to know people. And she was on the phone with somebody, was in the last episode. I have to go back and look. That it actually sounded like she was talking to somebody that was like either above her or a partner. We'll have to go back and look at that too. But there's a lot going on with Lady Z. You live in New York? Okay, yeah. That's cool. There was this restaurant in there. Was it called 626 or 616? The waiters all wore suits. Oh, that place was amazing. Amazing. Do we know what Lady Z's endgame is after she gets the weapons, or did I miss that? No, you didn't miss it. They haven't said. We get little nuggets of stuff. We know she wants power. We don't know why. We apparently understand that her father was killed or assassinated when she was a child. If they are a family that's always protected this sword, maybe she feels bitter about it, and maybe it did something to her, and so she decided that instead of protecting the sword and her losing her father and losing so much, that she deserves to wield the sword. There's a lot of avenues. I don't think Z is just a static character. I think that there's a lot going on with her that we don't know about. But when the professor even said, I heard about what happened to your father, and she had the necklace, and because she still wears the train necklace, which is a connection to her family. So there's something going on with her. I think that the way she dealt with her trauma was through crazy shit, like to literally, she's a comic book villain. That's what it is. She is a comic book villain. And if this is a comic, then Nikki's going to go through a lot of kind of mediocre moments of victories and, unfortunately ass beatings before she becomes her true self and starts being more badass, which is probably what they're doing. They're probably making these fight scenes and making her a lot weaker in these fights to build her up. But what makes me scared about that is that what they also could be doing is that she's only going to have power and strength when she is the true wielder of this sword or whatever. And that's annoying because that means she's only as valuable as when what the sword is and not her herself, which kind of defeats the purpose of them having this whole storyline with Althea making this point, that the person or the object never can declare their own value. That's exactly what they would be doing with her if that's what they do, and I have a problem with that. Just saying. Let's see. When are Lady Z and Nikki going to have a scene together? That's probably when the show is going to get really interesting. I mean, they've only had one so far. You're right. That's in the pilot. So, I mean, because they're making it seem like Lady Z is on the other side of the world. So it doesn't seem like she's in San Francisco. So I don't know. I don't know where Z is. Like, I don't know. I know that she's going to have a scene with Nikki because she's got to get the scabbard back. So it's going to happen. Now, what's going to happen? To me, I feel like Lady Z will target her family because she seems that dirty. So I don't know. It would be cool to see a fight between them already. But I mean, honestly, if she fought Lady Z again, she'd get her butt kicked. And that's just what happened. She's not going to do it. She can't. Well, Nikki will try. And then she's going to have to go through this whole rediscovering her worth and her skills and her mission again when she gets her butt handed to her. Just what it is. She's an evil Chinese Batman. Parents were killed, and she went to train to get revenge and looks rich. She's the Batman who laughs. She got the toxin spread in her face when they came to kill her daddy. You're right. You're right. It would be cool if Nikki has to find another Kung Fu masters to teach her new powers before she challenges Zilan. So you want her to do some like Sentai Geki Ranger, Power Ranger. What's the name of the show? Jungle Fury stuff. Like you basically get your butt handed to you until you go find all of these different masters to teach you all these different styles, and then you get to fight. I am not okay with that. Now, should she have started already? Yes, we're only in episode 4. I guess she has to have this second fight. I mean, I guess being stabbed with the sword and flung over a cliff, was not enough inspiration. So, yeah, that's a problem. When is Nikki going to get a job? Okay, I'm going to tell you this. Never. I'm like, Her parents are in debt too. That's what's so messed up. Like they're in debt. The restaurant, I mean, it might be doing okay, but it's not doing enough when you have if they don't own their house or mortgage. They put all their kids through college, which means they paid out of pocket. And then there's a lot. We don't know the extent of just how poor they are. And here comes their grown daughter who's like, I'm not going to law school. But then again, did she have a scholarship? I'm hoping she had a scholarship, because how can her parents afford to send her to freaking law school now anyway? But she's not going to law school. She's living at home, and she's doing basically what a lot of, and this is what I've learned. This is all through what I've learned. A lot of overseas Asian families do. When the kids grow up, they move back home. I don't know. She's probably never going to get a job. And that's just the thing. But yeah, it's, to me, it's a CW thing. They don't have to pay for bills. They don't have to pay anything. I don't know how half of them survive in this world. It's just crazy. But it is 50 minutes. I usually do an hour, but I have a voiceover job to do soon. So I have to cut it short. But please leave me a comment and let me know what you think in the below, because this is going to go away and I want to know. If you have any theories too, please let me know. But outside of that, thanks for being here, guys. I love you, and I will talk to you later, and be on the lookout for some more videos later on. Have a good day.